And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Caesar, which, well, Caesar sees Rome in 20 minutes. Just the name Caesar, the exclamation point, is a pretty bad name, but Seize Rome in 20 minutes is better, and I'm very excited about this game, and I'll tell you why, folks, because it's a sequel to Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg, another small little game about World War II in 20 minutes. This is about Rome, fighting over Rome in 20 minutes. I like that idea. I really like Blitzkrieg. It's not a war game, really. It's a tug-of-war game. If you don't like war games, it'd be great. So I was hoping that this one would be similar. So let's take a look at how it plays, and we'll be back. At the beginning of the game, you're putting these province tokens randomly all over the board, with the exception of you're going to put a Senate one always goes in Rome, but the rest are randomized. Players are going to have a bunch of tokens that they're going to throw into their bag, and these tokens, you're going to pull out 2 of them and stick them behind your shield. You also have a bunch of your tokens here, control tokens, that are next to the board. And one player goes first, and you take turns back and forth. The game is all about control. On a player's turn, they're going to take one of their tokens, and you're going to look at the symbol on it. So this one shows a ship, and you're going to place it on one of these ship spots on the board. And you can rotate either way. So this is a 0-6. I could put it like this or like that. And so players are going to take turns going back and forth. Let's say I have a sword. Maybe I'll put this sword here. So I'm kind of I now have 11 points of control on this one. My opponent might say, you know what, I'm going to give up on that one. But you might want to be the person who finishes it, because whoever puts the last token down is going to get this bonus token in the middle, and they get to use it. But once the last token is placed around one of these provinces, then whoever has more power, and a tie, no one gets it, will take one of their tokens and place it here like this. If you already control an adjacent region, let's say that this region was already controlled by red, when that happens, you also will put another token on top of an in-between spot between those provinces. So chaining provinces will let you get more of these control tokens out. The only exception to this rule here is Rome. Whoever controls Rome is going to get to put 2 of their tokens out. That's why there's an extra dotted circle there. Now, I mentioned these bonus tokens here. There are 4 different kinds of bonus tokens in the base game. This one here allows you to flip over someone else's token on the board, essentially turning it into a 0-0. The wealth token, that's this little pot here. When you get this, you get an extra token. Normally in your turn you play a token, draw a token, so you have 2 to work with. That lets you have 3, 4 tokens to draw from. The tactics here, when you get this, you get an extra turn. So you can take another turn directly after your first one. And then the Senate tokens, these only work for you if you also control the province. But if that happens, you'll place the Senate token here, and you'll put a control token underneath that. And because you're trying to get rid of all your control tokens if possible, for each Senate token you have. So the more Senate tokens, when I take a second one, I'm going to put 2 underneath that one. A third would put 3 underneath it. So you can see that kind of escalate quickly. Senate tokens, controlling them on the board, can help you win the game. And that's because, folks, the first person to get all their control markers on the board wins instantly. Now, there are some extra variants that you can add, and I recommend that you play with all of them. You can play with poison. You can just add these to the pile of tokens you put at the beginning of the game. When you get a poison, your opponent will have to take one of the tokens behind their screen and get rid of it. That's an alternate way to win, by the way. If you run out of tokens to put out, then you lose. So you have to be careful also when you take those extra turns and things like that. Centurion tokens, you start with these 3 tokens behind your shield. They have white lines on them, but they're very powerful. A 0-7, a 3-3 wild. This can be put anywhere. A 4-4, which is ships or shields on the board. Those are all powerful tokens. You get to use one of those tokens when you take one of these Centurion tokens. And then finally, there's something called border patrol. There are a few spaces on the board that have a circle around them like this. That basically says when you go there, you can place a token face down, which again makes it a 0-0. But one of the tokens that was set aside, since you're playing with all these extra tokens at the beginning of the game, you can take it and use it immediately. Otherwise, the rest of the game plays the same. There's also a bunch of command tiles that are used in a solo game, but I have not played the solo game. I'll let Mike tell you about that in another video. All right, I don't know. This board just feels very prototypey. I feel the same way as about the original Blitzkrieg. I don't hate the cover. I really like these bags. They're nice bags. The shields are fine, and they do tell you what everything does. And the game is functional. It works fine. It just doesn't look amazing when you see it across the room. But I get that people are going to have different opinions on it, but I think the components for this, they work. I just wish the game was a little prettier. Well, Caesar is really fun. The idea, so you have these tokens, and really at the beginning of the game, you have 2 tokens. So each token can go into, there's a couple wild tokens with lower numbers, but most of the tokens can go in one of 3 different, 3 different types. But there's lots of spots to put them in. And how you control this game is so intriguing. What I mean by controlling is how you take over different spots on the board. You can fight for Rome. I mean, Rome is an important spot. It lets you put 2 out, and it has a Senate token in it. So if you're the person who puts the last token in, you're basically getting rid of 3 of your tokens on the board. Or you can go for those outer provinces, which have fewer spots around the outside of them, but if you start chaining them, you can get rid of your influence tokens pretty quickly that way. But this game has a bit of a chicken feel to it. Like, no one wants to put the second last token in a spot because that lets someone else put the last token there, which will give them the token in the middle, that province token. And I love that concept because I might finish a province, just even though I give it to you, just to get that token. And what you want to kind of do is set your opponent up so that no matter where they go, it seemingly helps you. Of course, you're thinking the same thing about them. And I think you should play the full game because the poison makes it slightly meaner because you're getting rid of some of your opponent's tokens out there. But again, you can see these tokens. It's not like someone grabs a poison token. It's someone is going to put the last one around that, which means either they're putting them all there or you also put some tokens there. So if someone's starting to build around poison, I might start building around one that lets me get an extra token. Sure, kill one of my tokens. What do I care? I just got an extra one, and I took over this area that's more powerful than you thought. So I like the poison. I also like the Centurions because I like having the extra tokens to throw in the bag. A little bit of flashback to Blitzkrieg had that same idea. Now, speaking of Blitzkrieg, this game is very different. Blitzkrieg is basically a bunch of tug of wars that you're doing, and you're pulling these different tug of wars around the board. This one is more of a, hey, it's area control, but each token is helping control 2 different areas, which is a fascinating idea. So I don't normally talk about numbers or things in my ratings, but I want to talk about that a little bit here because Blitzkrieg for me right now is a 9. It's a 9 out of 10. It's one of my favorite games. Caesar here, I'm currently rating this one at an 8. Now, will that go up? It's very possible. This is the kind of game I can see myself playing more and more of. I don't like it as much as Blitzkrieg yet, but the potential is there. The controlling the area, I don't feel like I'm grasping the strategies of this one as much. I think this one probably has more strategy than Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg kind of viewed it as a fun, easygoing tug of war. This one, I always feel like it's kind of this tango with your opponent because I'm trying to control these areas and which way where I rotate the token. You know what? You can have this area, but should I let them have that area? The Senate tokens are really powerful. As a side note, I don't think they're explained very well in the rules. It's not a very simple concept. I would have put more than a paragraph to just that one. But the Senate tokens are powerful, but if you just concentrate in the middle, you can win also by getting the outside, which is thematically cool. I like that too. This is just a neat concept of a game. And I'm going to let this one mulch for a bit and see we'll come back and revisit in a year, and it may go up for me. I suspect that it will. But my initial impressions of it are pretty strong. I really like this back and forth two-player game concept. I don't mind the war part of it. I understand some people aren't going to be as interested in the war aspect of Caesar, but it's not really there. You're not having troops kill each other or anything. You're just putting out tokens and building these boundaries around with the different numbers. There's definitely luck in the game, what you pull out of your bag. Sometimes you're like, oh, please give me, a ship token. Oh, man, not a ship token. But there's always spots to put that. Whenever one of these games is finished, we've never put stuff all over the map. There's a good chunks, many space on that map that have not been used yet. And so that means this game has many different ways to play out. And it's never going to play the same way. We're not talking about chess. We're like, this is always the first piece. Because that randomness means I start with 2 chips, and those province tokens are kind of randomly spread. So every game's going to have a different feel to it. And like I said, I think that randomness and that diversity goes up by throwing in the poison and the Centurion expansion. The other expansion where you put a token face down to get a token, that's not bad either. And I might throw that in because it's just a very simple little thing to add. But I think that makes a very cool, complete game. Complexity is definitely higher than Blitzkrieg. The fun is right there. And I think if you like one, you will definitely like the other. So there's that. So I think this one will go up for me, as is right now. I like it a lot. And I'm definitely going to be playing this one more. So that's Caesar, Seize Rome in 20 minutes. A tagline, that's true. Dice Tower Judgment approved.